History is being made in the moment, and we're here for it. Microsoft just chose ASUS to launch the first ever Xbox handheld. First of all, I want to congratulate ASUS because that is a big deal. They're literally outsourcing their hardware, and this is official. There's an Xbox stamp, but it means a couple of things, and we'll talk about it. With the first question being, what does it mean? Well, first of all, I think it just proves that Microsoft is fully committed to continuing in the step that they've been outlining for us in the past couple of months. Everything is an Xbox, and this is clear right off the bat with this move. It also means that Microsoft is finally acknowledging handheld PC to be a viable route for the future. And of course, we knew that was already the case, but I think this move in particular shows us that they are really paying attention to things like the Steam Deck, the Switch 2, and they really want to move in that direction, allowing you, the gamer, to own hardware and be able to play anywhere and everywhere you go. Again, very in line with what they've been saying for the past couple of months. Now, if you don't know, there are two SKUs, and we had a rumor a couple of weeks back, couple of days back, with consoles looking sketchy to say the least, but they're now official, they're now available, and with the changes that they've brought to the aesthetic, personally, I think it looks great, and I love the idea of having grips, and I think it also makes it stand out compared to a lot of other handheld PCs on the market. And so we'll have two SKUs, the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X, and I'll put specs on screen, but to keep things simple, as far as the ergonomics, the panel, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to have a difference in RAM, so the bigger model having more of it, 24 gigabytes of RAM to be exact. You're also going to have a better SoC, which is supposed to be made after the HX370, and we don't know yet in terms of performance if it's going to be on par, but based off of what we know that are happening in terms of software, there's a chance that if ever the chip was ever so slightly weaker like it was with Z1E and its equivalent in mainstream AMD line, there's a good chance that Microsoft is bringing changes that could potentially close the gap, let alone push it even further. But yes, some of the things that haven't changed, or at least that will remain the same between the two models, is going to be the panel, it's going to be the grip, the overall hold on the device, and of course you're going to have a full set of buttons, except that the higher SKU will now have impulse triggers, which means rumble and the triggers themselves. A pretty substantial change for rumble heads like I am. So if you like your rumble, you're going to get the best experience out of any handheld that we've come to know so far out of the Xbox Ally X. Such a welcome move for Microsoft. So what can we expect? I talked very briefly about software, and there's very little known. In fact, if you want the best coverage so far, Fox has done a video a couple of hours ago, which I think is phenomenal and gives you a lot of detail. But to keep it simple, basically Windows is working on having a way to load you forefront into your operating system when designed for playing games. Now, it's going to be running Windows 11 handheld in the background, but if I understand it correctly, it means that we're going to be able to skip a lot of the bloat in terms of processes that are happening in the background that will ultimately impact performance. Those would not be as necessary when played specifically on that device. So while we will have Windows 11, while we will have an Xbox improved app, we will also have a tailored experience to leverage the most out of that hardware. Another big change is when you're playing on an Ally or Ally X, you always have Armory Crate running somewhere in the background. And Armory Crate is now moved to the Xbox Game Bar, which quite frankly, this is a change I'm pretty surprised of and quite excited about, because Armory Crate is not a heavy program per se, but it has a lot of bloat as well. So I'm wondering if by being in the Windows Game Bar, if a lot of the bloat is going to be taken off, and rather we'll just have, the rudimentary tools to operate your device as best as you can. And if it is the case, in my personal opinion, I think it will provide a much better and a more suited experience for what these handhelds are mainly designed for, which is handheld gaming. I'm super excited. I hope you are too. Of course, as we know more, we'll keep touching base on, and hopefully I'll be there to review the unit for you guys. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Are you excited for finally having an Xbox handheld, an official Xbox handheld branded coming to market? And you know, for the fact that we're gonna have something that is gonna be pretty much peak performance, at least with the current landscape on the market, but having something that is branded and really getting that first party support from Microsoft and ASUS. Again, I think it's a very big deal. Oh, and lastly, I don't know a whole lot of details on that, but as I understand it from watching Fox's video, again, I would recommend it. I'll put it in the description box. There's also an accessory, an official accessory that will be an eGPU sporting a 5090. I don't know a whole lot about that, but Fox does mention it in his video, which again, I strongly recommend watching. I'll link it in the description. And yeah, there it is, guys. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts. What do you guys feel about that? Like, what do you think in terms of price? What would you be willing to pay? And for those Xbox aficionados out there, are you getting that day one? Let me know. I want to know everything you guys have to say about this. Drop it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.